And welcome back. Shiur 23. Today is a very special day, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and we're going to learn quite a fair bit about Chodesh Sivan. Very exciting. We have 2 raffles for today, and of course, that is last week's raffles. So last week's Shiur, number 22, whoever filled out those answers, good on you, all you boys and girls that did so. And of course, for last week's Mesiv, not yesterday, Bahar B'chukoisai. This coming week, there are several raffles. Number 1, of course, for our Mesiv and Binas. So if you did Mesiv and Binas yesterday, that is raffle number 1. Raffle number 2, of course, is today's Shiur number 23 for answering the questions. If you're not sure how, we are, when, and why to get those questions. That's a bit strange. It's already our 23rd Shiur. But if you still need to do so, and you forgot how, that's chabadyouth.org/virtual. That's where you pick up all the questions. And there's a 3rd raffle this week. Of course, yesterday was Shabbos Mevarchim. The more kapitlich you did, that's how much the prize is if you're the winner. So we we make a raffle, and the prize is, depending on how many kapitlich you said, that's how much money you get towards your special voucher. Okay, now some tremendous exciting news. Sorry, I think depending not how many kapitlah, but depending how much time you spend, because Hashem counts how much time you spent, not how many pages you turn. So it doesn't matter how many kapitlah, it's the time you spend. Yes. Okay, now I did mention, I think last week or the week before, and it seemed to be a bit of a false alarm, and we said that many of our shiurim were in honor of Rabbi Goldstein, and there was a rumor that he was doing much better, and then unfortunately they said that it wasn't so much the case. But Baruch Hashem, this past week, we got real footage of Rabbi Goldstein coming out of the hospital after, I think he was one of the first to go into the hospital. So it's almost about 3 months, Rachmana litzlan. But Baruch Hashem, he's out. And I actually sent him a video and I said, Rabbi Goldstein, we have been davening for you. And we have found the Tehillim that you gave me and have taught us how to say Tehillim like a proper Yid. And Baruch Hashem, I sent him that message. I sent it to his son. He said he would show it to him. So good on all of you for all your tefillahs. And that is incredible. The nisim that we are seeing, and those all that still need to see nisim, may they see their nisim very, very quickly in a beautiful way. But let's say a special kapitel for all those anir refuah shalema. And this is the month of Sivan. It's actually, does anyone know? You remember the month of, what is the sign for Adar? Fish, yes. So this month, the sign actually for Sivan is, does anyone know? If you said twins, you are correct. Did you say twins? I don't know. So it is the month of twin. The sign for Sivan is Te'umim, twins. And several reasons for that, of course, because we got the luchas were actually a couple. And of course, siblings, we come connected. So it's about being attached. So of course, the 2 luchas, and as well as the main theme, where Yidden and Hashem become attached, like twins, and many other reasons. So, anyways, what a special month where it's revealed how Hashem loves us. Atav v'chartanu, Hashem chooses us. He gave us the Torah. So He should send a Yeshua, help and health for all the Yidden. Join me in Kapitel Chaf, as we say with the men's kavanah. Labnat Zeyach Mizmar LeDavid. Ya ancha dinoi b'yoim tzara Yisagevcha Shem Elohe Yaakov Yishlach Ezrecha Mikodesh Umitzion Yisadecha Yizkarcha Min Chaysecha V'oiloscha Yidash Nesela Yitein Lecha Chilvavecha V'chol Atzoscha Yem Alei. It's backwards, but you should still be able to use it. Nedana Bishua Secha Oveshem Eloheinu Nidgail Yemale Adinoi Kol Mishalei Secha Ata Yadaiti Ki Yoshia Adinoi Mishichoi Ya'anehu Mishmei Kotshoi Bigivudoi Seisha Yeminoi Eila V'Rechev V'Eila V'Susim V'Anachnu B'Shem Adinoi Eloheinu Nazkir Heima karuvina falu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisaydan Adinai Aishi Ahamalek Yaneinu v'yem karenu. Don't underestimate your tefillahs. They are working in the most tremendous, special ways. And that was tefillah. Let's also make Yidatzay Milfanach Adinai Eliyainu Eliyay Avizainu Shibana Beis Hamikdash Umheida V'Yameinu V'Seichel Keinu B'Sayir Seichel. Let's give tzedakah. Gedoyla tzedakah Shmakanev Zagula. If you didn't give now, please make sure you give after the shiur. Let's go straight into our shiur, and we have today a very, very exciting story as promised. Now, some of you may have heard the tape. I don't know if you did, but I actually remember it from the original book, and we'll speak about it in a couple of minutes. You understand what I'm talking about. Let's go straight into the shiur. Of course, it is a Chodesh Sivan. And from the beginning of Chodesh Sivan already, we don't say Tachnun for the next 12 days. So almost a half a month without Tachnun. And the reason is because every day from Rosh Chodesh Sivan, what happened actually on Rosh Chodesh Sivan is the Yidden, if you read yesterday's Binas and Misib, that the Yidden actually finally came to Midbar Sinai on Rosh Chodesh. And that's when actually it says, Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad, they came together and they united in front of the mountain. So already from Rosh Chodesh, we start preparing for Matan Torah, and therefore there'll be no Tachnun. There's no need to be sad or have regrets or think about Averis. We are focused on the Torah, focused on Hashem. And on the second day and the third day, the second day is when Yidden actually had to take a break and absorb everything that was going on around them. Starting from the third day, they started the Shloishes Yemei Hakbala. That's important because that's for our next question. Our first question, of course, let's go straight into it, is today's Sefer HaMitzvahs. And it is the mitzvah of a borrower. That if someone borrows someone else, that means I'm not renting from you. Renting means I pay you money and I'm able to use it. And therefore, if I ruin it a little bit just because I used it, then I don't have to pay because that's why I rented. But let's say I borrow something from you, I have to return it. There are many, many halachas. I have to return it back in perfect condition, even though it wasn't my fault or whatever it is. If I'm borrowing it for free, then we have to know all the halachas of the din of a borrower. And that's today's Sefer HaMitzvahs. Once again, it's just the mitzvah is to know the halachas of the borrower. Okay, now, we said that today is Rosh Chodesh, and already, because every day from now, we stop saying Tachnun. Now, our question was, when do we stop them in Hagim of Sfiras HaOmer? So we're going to stop that 3 days before Shavuos. That means this Tuesday morning. So on the third day of Sivan, today is the first day of Sivan, tomorrow is Beis. Tomorrow there'll still be no Tachnun, but still no music. But already from Tuesday morning, we will be able to stop on the Chodesh from Monday night already. We will be able to start. It's brought down that it should be started from the morning. That the morning of the Shlosh Me'akbala, so not Monday night, Tuesday morning, we stop all the sad minhagim. So once again, you can start hearing music, and you can start doing all these exciting things, dancing, and weddings are already possible and able. However, there's one thing which leads us to our next question. So I was going to write in brackets, when do we stop most of minhagim? Now, technically, I didn't put a bracket because technically you could. Of course, I missed that one thing. Snip. Yes, haircuts. Haircuts, technically, from Shlosh Me'akbala, many have the custom to already start taking haircuts. Our minhag at the Rebbe Rashab, as you see in the Hayom Yom, was very strict on it, that you should absolutely not take any haircuts until Erev Shavuos. So until it's Erev Shavuos, even though technically you're allowed to, and obviously if someone has a wedding before Erev Shavuos, they probably supposed to take a haircut. But all of us should not be taking a haircut until Erev Yom Tov. We explained, if you remember, all the way at the beginning of one of our first shiurim, not the first, but when we spoke about Sfiras HaOmer, we spoke about that we're kind of preparing like a tummy person prepares for 7 days. So we have 7 weeks to prepare for the Torah, and at the end you're supposed to cut your hair. And therefore, our minhag is actually not to take haircuts till Erev Shavuos itself. That was our next question. When do we take a haircut? Now, 3 special ways, all right? 3 special ways to prepare for Yom Tov. One is more exciting, one is more special. Now, for Yom Tov, of course, it says, what does it say? Which pasuk am I talking about? Very good. It is actually a mitzvah to be happy on Yom Tov, and therefore for adults, it's a mitzvah to have, well, for everyone should have fleish, to have meat and wine. If you're an adult, you should actually have a wine. So if you don't make kiddush on Yom Tov, then you still have to be careful. You actually make sure that you drink a revius of wine, which is 86 mil. Younger kids, I guess you can nudge your parents to have some grape juice. But of course, it's actually a mitzvah to try, if you can, either our parents buy us either new clothing, some jewelry, or something special, anything special for Yom Tov, because it's a mitzvah that not only our neshama should be happy, but our whole body should feel that it's Yom Tov, and our whole body should get excited. So that's the first way to prepare for Yom Tov, to make sure that we have something special for Yom Tov. Especially, I can't wait till yummy cheesecakes coming up. But the other two very special things that we should prepare for Yom Tov is, first of all, there's a mitzvah. It's not what I'm talking about in the next question. It says, one of the next questions are, how is Shavuos compared to Pesach? Now, there's a mitzvah called Kimcha de Pischa, which literally means flour for Pesach. It's a special halach in Shulchan Aruch that you don't only make sure that you have matzahs, you have to make sure other people have matzahs. The Rebbe extended that, although I guess it should have been obvious, but the Rebbe actually made it a campaign that before every Yom Tov, it's a mitzvah of Ma'is Chitim, just right, Kimcha de Pischa, or otherwise known as Ma'is Chitin, money for wheat. It means money for matzah. But Ma'is Chitin that I've extended for every Yom Tov, because it's always the same issue where Yidden, Yom Tov is extra expensive, and there's a lot more meats that need to be bought, and a lot more challahs, and a lot more, especially Shavuos, yummy cheesecakes. So it is a special mitzvah to not make sure, like mitzvah number one, preparation number one is to make sure that we have good food and we have good clothing, is to make sure we're looking out for our neighbors. Now, sometimes even if you're a child, you say, well, I don't have a bank account, I can't give. Sometimes there are children that say, I have an extra $1, I want to give that. You're welcome to do that. Or sometimes actually you can ask your parents and say, hey, mommy, hey, tati, can we make some food for someone? They'll be actually quite inspired. Or maybe you even know of a friend, say, I feel like this friend might be able to use, why don't we make them challahs and just for a surprise, make them some challahs and cheesecake. There are different ways to do that, but to think about others. So Ma'is Chitin, although it's Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down for Siva, for Pesach, it is one of the ways, especially to prepare for Shavuos, is to make sure that others also have, whether it's clothing, especially food, etc. Of course, the third way is you guys. The whole Torah was only given because of children, so this should be your special mitzvah. Of course, the Rebbe said, now this is going to be quite weird and funny or interesting. I don't know what word I should use, because, of course, one of the biggest campaigns before Shavuos was to make sure that every man, woman, and even child should hear the Aseret Dibros, because especially even the tiniest babies, because they're the ones that Hashem relied on to give the Torah. Now, look out. I didn't mention another raffle. There are going to be different campaigns. I guess it depends on how the laws and the Rabbanim will deal with Shavuos, how we're going to be able to hear the Aseret Dibros. But if not, of course, there's a Chabad Youth campaign that if you should have seen it in the magazine and our WhatsApp. By the way, we have a weekly broadcast that comes out Erev Shabbos and Erev Yom Tov. So if you're not on it, then if your parents are not on it, they could text me to be on it. They get all the update news of all the things going on. One of the exciting things is you can still get ice cream and do the Aseret Dibros, even if we might get stuck at home, is by learning the Aseret Dibros with a parent, and then you can go and fill out a card, I believe, and then you can go to Cold Rock and get yourself some yummy Milchike Chalav Yisrael ice cream. Okay, so that's the three ways to prepare for Shavuos. Preparing for ourselves to make ourselves happy by new clothing or new special things for ourselves. Number two is to think about others and make sure other families have what they need. And number three, to try to see what you can do, make invitations, make awareness that everyone should get involved on a normal year to hear the Aseret Dibros, or here at least maybe read it as the other campaigns. All right, moving along. And one of the minhagim is about the flowers and trees that set up in shuls. Our minhag is not really to set up our minhag, at least some people still do it, is not to put trees and flowers in shuls, but we still do it at home. Many people bring home flowers and grasses. And one of the reasons why we bring grass, how do you say grass in Hebrew? Very interesting. This is just a bonus. Grass in Hebrew is Asev. And of course, that's the three names of Shavuos. Other than Zman Mat Nereseinu is Ayin is Atzeres, Sin or Shin is Shavuos, and Beis is Bikurim. So that kind of also reminds us about that. Of course, you're going to learn in class, hopefully, about the flowers on Har Sinai. And Also, it stands for Oiseh Shalom B'Meraimov, Esev, because Torah brings peace, is here to bring peace amongst Yidden and bring peace between heaven and earth, Hashem and his people. Okay, moving right along. What we spoke about now, let's move to Erev Shavuos. That how is this compared to Pesach? I asked in our next questions, how is Shavuos compared to Pesach, and especially this year, this Erev Pesach? Number one is because interesting that you're not supposed to, just like we said, you shouldn't have full meals before the Seder because you want to eat the matzah with enjoyment. Well, actually, that extends really to every Yom Tov. Technically, you shouldn't have a real full meal in the afternoon because you want to be a little bit hungry when it comes time. So that's how it's kind of compared to Pesach. And of course, this year, a very special mitzvah, Erev Tavshilin. If you want to hear more about that, go to our previous shiur about Erev Pesach, about learning about Pesach. We discussed Erev Tavshilin, how that works, to be able to cook Friday for Shabbos, because usually you cannot prepare one day for the next. Friday is Yom Tif, and usually you can't prepare for the next day. So we make a special Erev Tavshilin. All right, you can see that other share. So that is how Shavuos is compared to Pesach. Number one, we shouldn't eat a lot in the afternoon, so we should be hungry for the beautiful Shavuos meal. And if you want to bracket, you go right at Erev Tavshilin this year. How is Shavuos compared to Rosh Hashanah? Very interesting. Did you know this? It's actually Hayyim. Very interesting. It's a great time to take achlatis for all the good things you want to do, how to be a soldier in Hashem's army, how to learn Torah, because just like Rosh Hashanah, what happens in Rosh Hashanah? I'll give you a hint. Something to do with the Satan. What happens in Rosh Hashanah? The Satan is totally bambazzled, confused, and it's a time that we could reach straight to Hashem. It says actually that by Shavuos, Shavuos is similar. The Satan is totally confused, and it's a good time to take achlatis. Okay. Sorry, the last question was not from this week. I meant to change it. I'm not sure why. It says which mitzvah is Torah equal to? That's from last week. All mitzvahs. Oops. Okay, let's finish up for today's share and then get to our exciting stories. Some of our last points. And the raffle. So some of our last points. Then we'll get to the raffle and today's special story. Sorry about that. Okay, so of course, when it comes to Shavuos, we are allowed to daven a bit early, bring in Shabbos early, sometimes bring Yom Tov in early, but Shavuos we do not take in early because to get to Shavuos we need 49 complete days. So this is a minute to actually start Ma'ariv a little bit later to make sure that the 49th day is complete, so we could start Shavuos. Which reminds me, we should say today's Sfira. For those that didn't say it, even if you did, you could join us together in saying Hayoim, Chamisha, Va'arba'im, Yoim, Shehem, Shisha, Shavuos, Ushleisha, Yamim, La'omer, Harachaman, Hu Yachazir Lanu, as Avedus Beis Hamikdash, and Kaimah, Meir V'meinu Amin Sela, and of course, the Sfira. Why? Of course, I would say, of course, I don't know why. The Sfira is Tiferes Sheb Malchus. Okay, and continuing on, the night of, so we do it a little later. You still should bench licht on time. It's a shtick to start benching. Some people bench after Ma'ariv bench licht. You shouldn't really do that. Only the second day you have to do that, because the second day you cannot light candles early, similar to what we spoke about before, because you can't prepare one day for the next. This year you'll have to light early, because this year it's actually going to be Erev Shabbos. But usually, so the first day Yom Tov for sure you should not be lighting late. You should actually light early on time as usual. Now, of course, as much as possible, Shavuos is a time to stay up all night. No, wrong. Not to stay up all night. Okay? Listen to this, children. It's supposed to, I want to stay up. To stay up and learn all night. So, as it's brought on the Shulchan Aruch regarding Rosh Hashanah, that someone's just hanging around and mucking around, that's as good as sleeping. If not, it's worse than sleeping, because at least sleeping, you're gaining energy for the next day. So there's no concept to stay up Shavuos night. The concept is to stay up and learn Torah. So just to read the silly magazines, or sometimes these shuls have these random, very weird shiurim. Well, it's not a shiur, just bring down a doctor to discuss a chveis tishvas. There's no inyan in that. That's actually bittul Torah. Either you're discussing Torah or you go to have a good, nice sleep, so you'll be up for the next day. Of course, we do Tikkun El Shavuos, and that's the main idea, to read the holy oisius of the Torah. And then if in Melbourne, it's a very, very long night. So therefore, they do also other shiurim. But actually, the main thing is not shiurim in Torah, the holy oisius of the Torah, the letters of the Torah, in Tikkun Leil Shavuos. Next day, we're going to wake up and daven Shacharis. Well, wake up, I say, because you should. Well, again, this is a thing. We'll just argue about it when you get older. That should you daven right after you stay up the whole night? You just daven and have a long sleep. I know tons of people do that. Sometimes it's practical. Those people know that they will not get up till another 6 hours once they hit the pillow. But it's best, actually, if possible, it's best to take a nap between dawn, when it goes up, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Wake up 3 hours later. Make sure you're up before Kriya Shema. Okay, then we're going to do Hallel, Kriyas HaTorah. Now, this is what I wanted to tell you about. By Kriyas HaTorah, it's a special Kriyas HaTorah, and there's something called, it's not our minig per se, however, for some reason, the Alter Rebbe does bring it in his Siddur, and that's the Akdamis Milin. This is a special poem, and we're going to talk about that soon. A special poem all about the beauty of the Eibishter, the Torah, and Am Yisrael. Who wrote this? Who? We're about to find out. But a beautiful, beautiful song. It's not our minig, however, the Alter Rebbe does bring in the Siddur, and they do say, can't verify this, they do say that they saw the Rebbe saying something either during when the Aron Kodesh opened up or between the Aliyahs. Some minhagim actually, they read the first pasuk, which that many argue to do it that way, but that's actually some people do. They read the first pasuk of the Torah, then they all sing it, and then they continue the Kriya, which according to many is a problem because you're making a hefsek. But others do it right before Kriyas HaTorah. Our minhag is that we don't say it at all, but you're welcome to actually look at it, look at the English at least, because it's a very, very beautiful poem. And like I said, I believe that they do say that Rebbe said it at a certain point. Obviously, he never told anyone about it because it's not our minhag, but very interesting to look inside of it, and we're going to talk about that very soon. Now, then, of course, the exciting thing, we're going to end off with this. Yeah, milchiks! Delicious! There's many, many reasons why we eat milchiks, as you might know. Different reasons brought down. Number one, because it was Shabbos and they just got the Torah. They couldn't kasha their kalim or they couldn't shech and eat any fleishiks. So on Shavuos they couldn't eat any fleishiks. Of course, chalav reminds. By the way, very interesting. Chalav, just like by the way, a mother's milk. What was a baby? When you get older, you need to eat vegetables and bread and meat and this and that. You have to get nutrients and even nuts you're supposed to eat, getting nutrients from different places. When it comes to mother's milk, everything's there. A baby needs nothing else. And that's a hint to the Torah as well, that everything's in the Torah and a Yid doesn't really need anything else. The Torah has it all. A perspective on life, how to think, how to deal with other people, how to even behave, how to be normal, how to connect to Hashem. The Torah has it all. Now, who else had a story with milk on Shavuos? Let's make a calculation. Moshe is born what day? Zion Adar. 3 months later, he's put in a basket. So let's see. Zion Nisan, Zion Iyar, Zion Sivan. 3 months later, he's put in a basket. Remember his story? The Moshe, where his Mesiras Nefesh, even as a baby, is not to have any goyish milk. And that happened on Shavuos. That's another hint why we have milk. But for whatever all the exciting reasons they're going to learn in school, it's definitely, whatever the reason is, it's definitely delicious. I guess for most of us, some people are milk intolerant. And maybe that's going to be one of the cures when Mashiach comes. So hopefully this year you'll also be able to have cheesecake. We do have to be, though, very, very careful. Okay, here's one of the biggest mistakes. You need to have fleishik. Tell this to your parents, tell this to everyone. You must have meat on Yom Tov. It is not okay to just have a milchik meal. You must, it's a mitzvah, asay min ha-Torah, v'samachta b'chagecha. One of the mitzvahs on Shavuos. You need to have meat on Shavuos. Unless you're disgusted, not to make you happy. But a Yid really should have meat on Shavuos. So even if it's much later in the day, make sure you're having a little meat. Of course, you just got to be careful. You can't just wait an hour and then have meat. You have to bench. It's not allowed to be part of the same meal. So therefore, you must bench in between the milchiks and fleishiks. The common minhag is actually not to have a wash and have a full milchik meal. The common minhag is to make kiddush, have mezainis and eat a milchik meal, then wait an hour, then wash on hamoitzi. You must bench between the two meals. You should not use the same tablecloth, and you should not use. You should be careful with the chalas that you're using. If the milchiks that the challah was not baked in fleishik, so just be careful how you use that. You're also not allowed to bake a regular milchik bread because that can be very confusing unless there's a very clear sign, like a weird shape or some type of sign that it is a milchik bread. Of course, the knives that we use, you just got to be very, very careful and mindful about that. And the second day, of course, is Erev Shabbos. We got to be careful. Make sure you remind your parents. Everyone, here's your homework to make a big sign in your house. Don't forget Erev Tavshilin, so your parents can cook Erev Shabbos, and you'll be able to, and Ben Shlich. And of course, the main thing is to, number one, really accept the Torah. Perhaps sometime during Shavuos, you should go to yourself in a private room so no one thinks you're funny, and say, Hashem, I hereby accept your holy Torah. I promise to keep it and to guard it. Okay. And that is our job, to keep the Torah, especially, but I'm only a child. Exactly, especially you. Because Hashem refused. Imagine 3,332 years later, we wouldn't have a Torah without you guys. So it's your commitment. And you know what? As the Rebbe would always say, your Torah is much better because us adults, we have, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, Hashem gives us other shluchos. Hashem gives us other responsibilities. We need to worry about the bills, worry about shopping, worry about how we're going to buy your next piece of clothing. We have many, many worries. But a child, Baruch Hashem, you're like in Gan Eden. You need food, your parents give you food. You need clothing. So you have the best, you have the Gan Eden life. And Torah, to be focused on Torah, that is the children. So accept it, be proud of it, be proud that you're a guarantor. Get all the other children that you know involved. And everyone should have a beautiful, special, happy Shavuos in the Friedrich Rebbe's bracha. Kabbalas HaTorah, may you accept and receive the Torah. B'simcha, with a joy, u'b'pnimius, and in a real way. Pnimius means like, you really mean it. It should be real for you. It should be beautiful for you. And should pass that to your parents. When parents watch you learn with such a excitement and beauty, that actually gets, because us adults, like, wow, look at all these kids. I want to do that too. And now our story for the Akdamis Milan happened about 1,000 years ago. I believe a little more than that. I just don't have my book right near me, so I wasn't able to polish up on all the little detailed facts. If you find it, guys, if you find it's the shulest one. I thought we wrote it down, but anyways, let's. If we get some, okay, and my kids will help me out if I forget any of the details. But here goes. In Germany, somewhere, there was a very special and spookily spooky, what they called the lucky wheel. Most people stayed away from this lucky wheel. It was kind of this merry-go-round wheel. And once in a while, very, very iffy and mysterious people would go on this wheel. And this wheel would spin and spin and spin. You couldn't see what was going on from a distance, and you were advised to stay far away. What would happen is the Satan, people that knew terrible, terrible tuma and terrible, terrible magic, would bring upon themselves powers of tuma. The wheel would start spinning, and the Satan would come and teach 10 people exactly that fit on it. One person was chosen, it was the lucky wheel. It would spin and spin and spin, and when it would stop, one person was chosen. And he was going to be taught a black magic, a terrible tumah. Now, one time, one Yid was very, very curious about it. And he wanted to go on this lucky wheel. So he was, he started off like an Adela person. He would learn a little bit, but he would get distracted. And one day he decided, I think it was after he finished washing Negelwasser, and he decided to drink his Negelwasser. And he had very, very, very bad feelings, and he started hanging around with the wrong people until he decided he was curious and he wanted to bring tumah upon himself because he wanted to also know this black magic. And one day he decides he's going to go to the forest, and as he watched other 9 mysterious people come, one of them, of course, was the own Galach of his town. And the Galach came, and I can't wait. This Galach was known as a really disgusting anti-Semite, and he would, for some reason, go with a shmata on his head. Yeah? Okay. And he came, and this Yid also comes. This Yid, still deep down, something was bothering him, told him the Yid should not be going on this lucky wheel. But nonetheless, he was so curious. I want some magic too. I want to get involved in this. I don't care if I have to sell my neshama to the Sultan. And he's doubting at the last minute, but he decides he's going to sit down. And as soon as all 10 sat down, the wheel started turning. Oh, faster, 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 spinning, spinning, spinning. All of a sudden, the whole area looked black. Complete darkness was over the wheel. The Yid was becoming frightened. And all of a sudden, this weird type of light, but not a nice light, a gross type of light formed. And he saw an image of something completely creepy. And he sees the image, something very dark, black malach. And of course, there was no greater pleasure for the Sultan. Why would he choose 9 goyim when he could capture a Yid? And the Yid watches as this image comes towards him and his hand starts sticking out. And as the Yid, now he feels like, I don't want to give my shum away. Give me your soul and I will teach you the magic. And he's coming closer. The Yid is like, no, no, no. And the last second, as the son's about to grab him, he screams out, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. He screams so loud. Now the Sultan cannot handle the name of Hashem. And all of a sudden, the Sultan gave out this loud screech. Ah! And he took his seemingly big type of scepter, a black scepter, and he smacked the wheel so hard, the wheel exploded to tons of thousands of pieces. And all the other 9 people went flying off, including this Yid, the 10th person. But the Sultan said, never again! What a horror! But before he left, he grabbed the Galach and he stuck his hand inside like he's stealing his soul. And he taught him terrible, terrible, terrible magic. He says, this is my revenge. And the Galach now walked away. All the other people walked away, either harmed, hurt, or dead. But the Galach now marched happily away. Now, the Galach was a bit affected, I have to admit. It was a big clap. So, it's hard for me to see. But now I finally learned everything I wanted to. Okay, and now to get the Jews. She came home and her husband, his wife, hardly recognized her. Hey, Galach, are you okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? I've never been more okay. Now all the Jews in this town. Ha ha ha. And unfortunately, this Galach would go outside, and every time he would meet a Jew when he was bored, hey Jew, how are you? He would just touch his stomach, and all of a sudden the Jew felt like he had a punch in his stomach, bend over, sometimes cough out blood. Sometimes he would end up in the hospital, and sometimes even worse. I'm having so much fun! Oh! This Galach became a terror for the Yidden of his town, for the Yidden of all the other towns. I love to be hated! And the Galach was causing terrible, terrible havoc in the whole town. Finally, the Rav was not handling it, and he was trying to think what to do. Everyone come in shul. We have to make a Yom Tefillah. And they go says, you know what? You know who likes the king? I know the Galach. Do you know who likes the Yidden? The Galach. The Galach doesn't like the Yidden. Uberich weiß, als the king loves the Yidden. I'm going to go to the king. I'm going to put on my biggest tremble, and hopefully the king is going to listen to me. And he goes. He takes a few of his friends and a few of the Rashakal and the Shamish, and they ask for an audience with the king. And the king, who did have a tremendous respect for the Yidden, did allow him to come. Oy, Adoini HaMelech, the big king. Oh, and he is the bracha of the king, and he says, my dear king, it's a disaster, a calamity. All the Yidden around are being hurt. And you have to help us. You have to make a decree that this Galus are now hurting all the Yidden. Oi. He made magic. And the Galus, okay. And the king said, oh, I have to be honest with you. I'll try to speak to him, but I'm a little afraid also of this terrible Galach. Let me summon him. And the Galach was now summoned to the king. And the Galach comes to the king. A few days later is invited. Your Majesty. I'm sorry, I just can't always see straight. How can you help me? And the Galach, the Majesty, the king said, well, could you change your hat? Oh, yes, I can't see. It's hard for me. Thank you, Mom. And the Galach basically is, the king's a little bit nervous from this guy because he knows that if he just touches the king, can I hug you? No, please, Galach, no. But you know that I have to protect you. You're my special subject, but I also have to protect the Jews of my country. Of course you do. Oh, we don't want anyone to get hurt, right, Your Majesty? Right. Should I hug you? No, don't hug me. Okay. But I need to protect my people. So let's make a deal. Okay. I'm going to make a deal with you. Let's see if they are so special. I will stop what I'm doing on this condition. In 1 year, I'm going to give them. Let them choose any rabbi they want. Let them choose any person they want and come compete with me in a special showdown. We're going to use the biggest arena in all the towns around. We're going to have a big stadium. And in front of all the Jews, we're going to have a competition. If the Jews think they're so holy and smart, let them bring someone to compete with me. That if they win, I'll stop. Huh? King, you want a hug? No. Okay, I'll tell it to the Jews. And the king quickly wrote a letter to the Yidden. He wrote a letter to the Rav. And he writes a letter. And the Rav is so excited. He sees a letter from the king. And he opens up the letter. Ooh, okay. No. It says, first of all, you did not make the raffle yet. Oh, fine. Yes. Oh, yeah. And number 2, maybe make the raffle now. Should we? Okay. I'm in it. We have to make the raffle. Okay. And the winner is for last week's Shiur, Torah. I love Torah. And the winner is, for those that answer the answer, is none other than Chassi Shapiro. Mazel Tov, Chassi. And now for last week's Mesim, Bahar B'Chukai, not yesterday, the winner is none other than Hashem. Please help me pick out the right one. Aha! Mendel Schneier, Mazel Tov. But now for some more sad news. Oh, my dear Roof. The Galach wants a competition. You have 1 year to prepare. And, you have to compete with his magic. And if you win, you win. And if you lose, we'll all have to be thrown out of the whole country. The Rav quickly makes a big Zeta, gets all the Rabbanim from around. And there's a big fast. We're going to fast for 3 days. And everyone had to fast. And the Rav, with his friends, asked, they knew actually some Kabbalah, and they asked a special hope that the Galach should simply drop dead. But they went asleep, and they had a dream. All the different Chachamim had a dream. A Malach, the Sar HaChaloimis, the minister of dreams, came and said, unfortunately, the Yidden are not in the best state, and they will not be able, the miracle that you wanted, that the Galach should die, will not happen. However, you might be able to compete with him. And then the Chachamim woke up, on one hand, very devastated that the expected miracle will not happen. But there's someone that could compete with him. Who's that person? Who's that person? They made another Zeta. Everyone has to fast for 3 days. And once again, at the 3rd day, they asked, please help us. Tell us who this person is. And a very strange answer came. He lives beyond the Sambatyan. And that's all that they had. Oy vey, the Sambatyan. Now the Sambatyan was known as some unknown place where the 10 Shvatim, before Yidden wanted to go us into Babel, there were 12 Shvatim. Unfortunately, the Yidden were split into 2. 10 and 2. The first 10 Shvatim were taken much earlier and disappeared off the planet. Now there's brought down in certain places, and the Rebbe actually addressed this. That is a place called the Sambatyan. It's a river that 6 days a week, it shoots out boulders, and no one could cross it. And the only day this river rests is on Shabbos. But who could travel a river on Shabbos? Oy. How are we going to find it? And who's going to be able to travel? Oy, but it's Pekuach Nefesh. It's Pekuach Nefesh, Mamish. We have to try and do what we can. And all the tshuva and Mesiras Nefesh, hopefully, will be able to combat the Galach. Now they were going to make a big raffle. They put in the biggest Talmidei Chachamim in this raffle. Who should go? Because the person that goes, here's the one catch. If you go, you cannot come back. Because Pikuach Nefesh is only one way. And you could only go to the Sambatyan, but you can't come back, because coming back, only one of the Aseres HaShvatim people can come back. But whoever goes to call them cannot return, because the only day you can return is on Shabbos, and it's not Pikuach Nefesh anymore. And the Goydel fell on the Heilige, holy Tzaddik, the famous Chazan. They called him Reb Meir Schatz, Reb Meir Shliach Tzibur. He understood and he accepted his lot. He said his last goodbye to his family and his wife. He actually divorced his wife, so if she wanted, she could marry someone else. Because unfortunately, they knew that they would never see each other again until Mashiach comes. The mayor took a few friends, so they'll be able to travel. And with the help of some information and secrets of the Torah, they discovered the location. But the mayor's travels was no easy feat at all. He had to go for many, many months through deserts, snow mountains. And every time the trip seemed to get easier, something mysterious would happen. A terrible, overwhelming storm would happen. A blizzard of snow and ice spitting in their faces. It seems that Someone was trying to stop them. Several times they almost got killed crossing through rivers, crossing through deserts. Everything seemed nice and sunny, and sometimes it got too hot. And then a massive sandstorm would come. But the time was ticking. Months were passing quickly. Of course, the entire town engaged in Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah every day. No one heard from them. No one knew where they were headed. No one knew it when they would come back, and if they would ever come back. And the Yidden would daven hard. And Reb Meir and his friends could feel these tefillos, because every time their lives were in danger, somehow miraculously, they got out of it. And of course, in the schools of their pikuach nefesh. And then, finally, was only a few weeks left. Who could believe the year passed so quickly? And the mayor finally stands in front of this unknown, awesome ocean. They came there on a Thursday, and frightening, they couldn't even get close to the river. They're spitting out stones, terrible, massive stones that they haven't seen in their lives, spitting kilometers in the air. Friday comes, and it's finally Friday afternoon, and finally the mayor realizes. They build themselves a little boat with the wood they found around, and the mayor pulls out a pen and paper. He tells the friends, you can't come with me. You shouldn't anyways. You should be able to go back home. And anyways, only one person's allowed to travel, and that person's going to have to be me. Now, I want to write something to my wife, my family, and for the Heilige Torah that I love so much. I'm going to write a special song about the Yidden, Hashem, and His Torah, because that is why we survive. That's how we survive. And he wrote a special song, and he begged his community members that they should, every Shavuos, when time of Matan Torah comes, they should read it. And he actually wrote the song. They say that's where the song of the Akdamais Milin come from. And you can even find it, like I mentioned to you, in Lubavitch Siddur. And that's the special song the mayor writes with his special chachma. And that was his will and testament and last request to his community. Finally, Shabbos settled in. It's pitch black at night. You could see, miraculously, the water's calming down. It was the next morning, and the mayor felt a little bit hard because it was Shabbos, but he knew that this is a mitzvah, what he's doing, and he gets into the boat. And he crosses the Sambatyan. And as soon as he gets to the other side, two people catch him. B'chal Shabbos, come with me to the head king of the Shvatim. And they grab him. Help! Skila! You're not allowed to do this. You think you're a chacham? No one, we've been hiding for thousands of years that Hashem hit us. And you think you're a great chacham? You cross the band, you thought you're outsmarted, that you'll be able to cross it on Shabbos? Asur! Skila! You are going to get the death penalty. We'll bring you straight to the jail. It says, please, no, you have to bring me to your king. Oh, be quiet. Please bring me to the king of the Shvatim. I brought him in front of this very, very special looking man. He was the leader of the 10 Shvatim. And he says, here, my dear king, read this. And the king reads the letter, the disaster that's going on, and the plea of the Yidden from across the Sambatyan. Please, we were let known through the Malach, this minister of dreams, that only one of you have the power of this open Kedusha and open holiness to do these miracles in public. Can only be done by one of you. We beg you, save your brethren, save the Yidden from the other side of Sambatyan. The king looks and he thinks, okay, this must be done then. The only time in Golus that we know that someone crossed the Sambatyan. We too will make a raffle, because the man that crosses the Sambatyan, will not be able to return back. He'll have to leave today on Shabbos when the Sambatyan is calm. But he'll never be able to return because only one way is Pikuach Nefesh. And they make a raffle. And who does it fall on? Oy Gewalt. The old Yid, Reb Don. Reb Don! Oy, Reb Don! Yes. And an old man shows up. Looks quite old. Yes, my dear king. Reb Don, I want you. And he tells Reb Don quickly the story. I want you to be the representative of all the raffle fell on you. And you quickly go back with these Yidden. It took them almost a year to get here. But you know the special Kedusha names of Hashem to get back to the city. I accept this shlichus. And of course, Reb Don had to tell everyone goodbye and kiss his family for the last time goodbye. And he takes the same boat that the mayor took. And he travels across the Sambatyan and he meets up with those other Yidden. Come, we will wait till the end of Shabbos. And then we will travel together. Or Reb Don, but now it's too late. In 2 days is the big test. It took us a year to find you. How are we ever going to get back? Don't worry. If Hashem wants, then space and distance does not matter either. Come. After Abdullah, they all quickly got together. He told everyone to close their eyes and hold his hand. And they felt themselves traveling. And let's go back to the town. They ended up somewhere in Germany. And now they had to travel. And now back in the town, the big arena is full. The show was supposed to start at 12 o'clock, and the Galach is all excited because, I gave these Jews, of course, I gave these Jews a whole year to prepare. Of course, they're frightened. Of course, they'll never find anyone that could deal with my amazing magic presenting. And the Galach was preparing all excitedly, and he thought he was hoping for a good show. At least he could destroy another Jew. But it was all good enough for him. He would just kick out all the Jews. No one would show up. And the show would be over before it began. And he would just turn to the king. The king himself came to watch. Everyone was frightened and excited. The Goyim all there with their signs. Down with the Jews. Go with the Galach. And everyone was very excited. But now it was time. The big, big showdown. And it's 11:59. Okay, Your Majesty, let's go. Get your soldiers. We are done. Come on, come on. And the king is about to turn. He turns to the dove. The dove is crying over there. And the king turns to the dove and shrugs his shoulders. What could I do? And all of a sudden, as it almost strikes 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the doors of the arena open up and the place gets silent. They all turn around and this old Yid walks in. Oh, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. What? The Galach gets all upset. Right, we've got to take the beard. We did some quick switching over here. What? Who do you send me over here? I can't see. I mean, I can never see, but that's not important. What? Some old Jew? He can barely walk? How dare you embarrass me? Look at him! Oy, don't worry, Mr. Galach. You'll enjoy the show, trust me. Are you ready? Am I ready? I was born ready! Okay, and now the challenge was about to begin. First, the Galach, for a few tricks, And now I will pull a bunny rabbit out of my hat. And everyone, boo, we know that stupid trick. Okay. And now the Galach performs a few pretty frightening tricks. And everyone is at ooh and ah. I will now pull a ball out of my ear. Boo! Okay. But now, after he showed his different tricks, it came face to face with Nebdun. Now, purity against impurity, Tuma against Kedusha, everything was now at stake. Face to face, the most impure Galach with the koyach of the Satan, and Nebdun with the koyach of Kedusha, with the koyach of Hashem. Okay, here we go. Oh, I hate these Jews making some fool out of me, sending some old Jew to make a mockery. Okay, you want to play? We're going to play. Now it begins. The Galach shows to bring in. And all of a sudden the doors open up. And a massive iron pole was brought in. 10 meters high. Took 30 people to drag this pole in. And the Galach takes it with just 2 fingers. He lifts it up. And he throws it into the ground. Okay. Deep into the ground, it disappears. And all the Goyim, yay, Galach, yay! What a great trick, yay! And all the Goyim are cheering. And the Yidden their eyes drop. Oh my gosh. What's going to happen? Their hearts are pounding. They're all whispering words of Tehillim. And the king himself, they brought a special king throne to the arena, special throne to the big field. And he is shocked. Okay, that be done. Now you go bring it out of the ground. They're done, unshaken. All these are like, oh, what's going to happen? Nebdun gives a smirk. And Nebdun says, all you gathered here and in front of the king, although he was so old, everyone was able to hear him scream these words. You all saw that he threw the iron rod in here, but I will take it out from the king's throne. Everyone's in shock. Everyone's whispering. You can hear that whisper. Is he going to be able to do it? And everyone's looking. Nebdun, old Nebdun, goes over to the throne, bends over, and he pulls out this heavy 10-meter, extremely heavy iron, the same exact one. Everyone's mouth dropped. Now Nebdun turns to the Galach. Okay. He takes with, again, 2 fingers, takes this iron spear, pole, and throws it into the air. And he turns to Nebdun. Nebdun turns to the Galach and says, okay, now I want you to bring down that spear. No problem. Oh, I can do that. No matter what types of cursing and tumah he's trying to do, nothing. The pole just stands there in midair. Oh my get down here! But the pole does not budge. Okay, that's a stupid trick. I know what I can do. I'm not going to bother with that. But okay. Forget about that. The Galach, a bit embarrassed, but he says, okay, well, that's corny. I got something really good to show you. And the Galach brings 2 massive millstones. These are these millstones that are taller than me, and 2 of them that grind together. And that's how, right? You saw that on our matzah bakery, tiny millstones. These things are sometimes much like twice as big as this room. Just massive stones. And an army of men bring in these 2 big millstones. and they could hardly drag it in. But the Galach says some magic words. Literally with his hands, he picks them up and crumbles it with his own hands. These two massive stones turn into powder in seconds. Again, everyone totally shocked. And re-applaud him. The Goyim are applauding him now that everyone should forget about the last fail of the Galach. Woo! Woo! Okay, they're done. You show me the same trick. Without thinking long, they're done. Says some holy words of Kedusha, and he makes those two stones reappear, and he rubs them together, but that makes them reappear again. And he takes the stones. This guy looks like he's 9 years old. He picks these two massive stones and chucks them into the air. And in the air, they continue to roll. They start rotating and grinding. You can hear the grind. Everyone's like, ugh. Okay, my dearie Galach, ready for the next. Now it's my turn. Bring me back those stones. I can do that. That's so heavy, it'll just fall out on its own. I just have to break your spell. Okay, no problem. My son, come on, somebody help me here. And no matter what he said, and he cursed, and his tumah, he pulled out the worst tumah words. The stones remain in place. Now Rabdan says, now it's my turn to go first. Okay, dear Galach, I'm getting to like you. I should bring you to my next show. Okay, listen here. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this massive tree grows. Rabdan looks at the Galach. He says, I'm going to give you the choice now. I could bring down the tree and you hold it down, or you have to bring down the tree and I hold it down. Oh, what's this trick over here? No, it's going to be too big, hard to bring it down. So let me get Rabdan to bring it down. And once it's down, I'll be able to hold it with my tumah. Okay, Rabdan, you got a deal. I want you to bring it down. Okay, I'm going to bring it down and then I'll hold it down. Good one. I'm going to make so embarrassing out of him. All of a sudden, Rabdan closes his eyes and says some holy psukim of the Torah. So the koyach of the Torah, as we mentioned, a yid could do anything. Rabdan, all of a sudden, with ease, as if it was a piece of paper, took this massive tree and he bends it all the way over without it cracking, all the way over, down, and he holds it down with one finger, an entire tree. All right, Galach, you ready? You know what? I'm going to be nice to you. You don't have to use one finger. You can use two hands if you want. No. I'm a professional. I'm a professional magician. One finger or two hands. Two hands is like one finger. Anyways. Okay. The Galach walks over. It's closer. Okay. 1, 2, 3. He grabs it with two hands. Just then, Rabdan removes his finger. The tree goes flying back up and flings the Galach into the air. The Galach all of a sudden gets stuck right on the pole that was there before. His whole body goes through the pole. And the two millstones come together and like the little piece of flour grinds the Galach up. And within a moment of the screeching, everyone could hear the screaming and the stones. And within a second, all right, I think I missed one more trick, but I can't remember. Oh, yeah, sorry, I did miss a trick where he makes a fire come down. I don't know if it's brought down in this one. Oh, sorry. Okay, just for the sake, I can just skip to the end, but just for the sake of my glasses to see, I skipped that one part. So I told my kids will remind me. So before that, the first Rabdan says, I'm gonna bring a pillar of fire from the heaven. Either you can bring a fire and I'll put it out, or you bring the fire and I'll put it out. And the Galach said, yeah, don't worry. You bring the fire and I'll put it out. And again, a big flame of fire came down. This happened first. And He tried with all his magic words, but the fire kept burning. And then he did the trick with the tree. So he got stuck on the pole. The fire burnt him up and burnt him into ashes quickly, and those millstones grinded everything, but nothing fell to the floor. As soon as all the screaming and screeching was over, it became completely silent. The fire disappeared, the stones disappeared, the pole disappeared, and the galach disappeared. You could imagine what was going on. The entire arena, the entire stadium was silent. And of course, the Yidden, not with arrogance, cursing out the Goyim, but with humility, all said, Hashem's ways are mysterious, but Hashem is holy, and his people are holy, and everything was finished. The Yidden ended up done, went back to Shul, and they all sang Hallel to Hashem for all the kindness and miracles that once again, even as we're in Golus, we could still be Zeichet to see miracles. And now, as mentioned, Reb Dun cannot return. So, he pulls out, neither could a mayor return. But Reb Dun pulls out a letter from the mayor, and the Rav reads out the letter to the community. Okay, and he says, now that I cannot return, I beg you to look after my wife and kids, and please, my special song that I made, please, all the communities around, especially in Ashkenaz, because that's what the Ashkenaz in Germany, around that whole area, to remember my Mesiras Nefesh, and remember Hashem's miracles, and how much Hashem loves his Yidden, and how much we love Hashem and the Torah. Every Shavuos, please read these words. Then, Reb Dun out of his pocket pulls out a special Akdamis song. These words, this story happened right before Shavuos, and of course, with great emotion on that Shavuos, the whole shul read the special song. Reb Dun actually got married to the mayor's daughter, and they actually had a son. And a lot of stories of the Sambatin were given over from them, from Reb Dun, that gave it over to his family. And that is the story of the Akdamas Milan. All right, we'll see you, Bez Hashem, on Tuesday for our Tuesday club, as well as Wednesday evening story time. And don't forget, we have special raffles for this past week by Midbar's Masib, for today's questions, and for Shabbos Mevorchim. We'll see you in the Beis HaMikdash. Don't forget, no tach until the Yud Beis Sivan. Exciting.